This podcast is sponsored by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. Right now, you can get 20% off your whole project, and additional savings are yours to control too. Like how the more windows you buy, the more you save, with up to $250 off each when you buy 10 or more. That's right, each. At $0 down, 0 payments, and no interest for 18 months to boot. Visit renewalbyandersen.com before this deal ends at the end of July. The way the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office handles the deeds to sheriff sales is like a Seinfeld episode. Meanwhile, the organization that represents the state's school districts could become subject to open records law. Be wary of a species that's invading the Jersey Shore. And this building would be Pennsylvania's tallest outside of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in PA. According to one real estate agent, quote, "It's like a Seinfeld episode," unquote, reports the Philadelphia Inquirer. Buyers who picked up property during sheriff sales hosted by the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office, which is when people drop sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars on foreclosed properties at auction, used to experience a deed recording process that took up to 8 weeks. Now, however, it takes about 7 months. And while they're waiting on the confirmed deed, those who bought the property are presented with issues like paying interest on loans they took out to do so, or not being able to make back anything they invested since they can't fix or rent things out. Those who have called or gone to the office directly claim they haven't received any real explanation of this issue or reassurance of a fix. In that same vein, spokeswoman for Sheriff Rochelle Bilal, Teresa Lundy, answered when asked for an explanation or an acknowledgement of the problem, quote, "Those individuals who have not received deeds should contact our office and we can further explain why their deeds were not processed in a timely fashion." The Pennsylvania School Boards Association is the organization that represents the state's 500 school districts, reports PennLive. And it may soon, like most other governmental agencies, be subject to the same transparency under the state's right-to-know law. A bill that passed through the Senate this week in a 28-22 vote would make this so by making the case that, since the association gets funding from public schools and, what's more, participates in the public school employees' retirement system, it should be classified as a state-affiliated entity. Therefore, it should abide by the right-to-know law too. This bill is now on its way to the House for consideration. Quote, "Tiny creatures with a big sting," unquote, are popping up more and more at the Jersey Shore, states NBC 10. Clinging jellyfish are an invasive species that were first clocked by scientists in New Jersey almost a decade ago, and they've recently been found beyond where they were first recorded, indicating their population is growing. They're mostly found in back bays, typically in shallow water with algae, and it's very unlikely they'll be in ocean water, so if you're going to the shore this summer, you can rest easy. However, it'd still be prudent to keep an eye out for them. The NJ state government explains that, again, while they're small, the sting of the clinging jellyfish, quote, "can be very potent and produce severe pain," unquote. On the bright side, their numbers tend to go down when the water warms up after the 4th. If it's built, this building would be the biggest in Pennsylvania outside of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, says Lehigh Valley Live. The Peregrine Tower was proposed by an investment company to be erected in Allentown and, in the words of the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, would be, quote, "one of the most significant development proposals," unquote, in the Lehigh Valley's history. The building would stand at 37 stories tall and house over 200 apartments, 2,650 plus square feet of retail space, and more than 9,950 square feet of office space. But some people aren't too jazzed at the idea of the Peregrine Tower coming into being. Says City Council member Cecilia C.C. Gerlach, quote, "A skyscraper in a residential neighborhood does not fit." Happy almost 4th of July, you guys. As you probably could have guessed, since it is the 4th tomorrow, there won't be an episode. And with that, I'm Claudia Dimuro. Thanks as always for listening, and we'll talk Friday for more Today in PA. This podcast is sponsored by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. Right now, you can get 20% off your whole project, and additional savings are yours to control too. Like how the more windows you buy, the more you save, with up to $250 off each when you buy 10 or more. That's right, each. at $0 down, 0 payments, and no interest for 18 months to boot. Visit renewalbyanderson.com before this deal ends at the end of July.